We're back on InFocus, taking another look at a different education-related issue. Illinois has a new law that requires schools to teach students about media literacy, but there are still some questions that remain and some working through that has to be done. We're talking about that in this segment with Michael Heyman, who is a librarian at Collinsville Middle School, and Leah Gregory, the school's membership coordinator for the Illinois Heartland Library System. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So, Leah, I'll start with you. People may or may not be familiar with the fact that Illinois has this law. I believe it is unique in the nation in terms of requiring students to have some form of media literacy before they graduate. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was passed into law about last year of this time, and it went into effect for this school year, 22-23, and it requires all public schools, all public high schools in Illinois to offer a unit of media literacy instruction.
As I understand it, the guidelines are a little bit vague, and schools are having some trouble understanding or working through just what is required. Michael, you're a school librarian. You teach students about media and checking sources and things like that all the time. What are you doing in terms of helping students be prepared for this?
Well, what I'm doing is trying to find avenues for them to publish. Usually, at least in my professional teaching opinion, having students work on projects, producing projects is the best way to teach them about this because it's difficult. What is media literacy? A lot of people don't, we say it a lot, but a lot of people don't exactly know what that means or what it is or what bias is. How do we teach bias? Well, we can teach it by discovering our own biases. So I have students doing podcasts, I have students doing videos. I'm still working with the English teachers on publications in our local newspaper, and really getting them going, writing, speaking, publishing in all forms of media. And that's going to, at least that's my vision for what school librarians should be doing.
Leah, when it comes to library educators, how critical are they to this media literacy component?
I like to think that it can't be done without school librarians. School librarians are trained in every facet of information literacy, and media literacy is part of that. When they replace a librarian with someone who can check books in and out, but who doesn't have that training, I believe it's a huge disservice to the students of Illinois.
Michael, when you're talking about the skills that students need to learn, is it made more difficult by the fact that media really encompasses everything that students are taking in right now?
Well, the skills needed, one is critical thinking, and then at the same time, there has to be a real world project. There has to be some connection there more than I'm getting a grade for this. There has to be, they have to be, I don't want to, their feet have to be put to the fire. It's a performance, writing, you're putting your ideas out there, you're organizing your thoughts in some sequential way that can be understood by others. And a lot of this project-based learning has to happen. And it's not like education hasn't been talking about project-based learning just in the past few years. It's been talked about for decades. And what's exciting for me is technology now is a lot easier. It's become cheaper. I have podcasting equipment as a middle school library. That's really exciting. That they never had that opportunity before. We have websites, we have access to databases, we have access to newspapers. We've never had this much access to information. But with that information, as we see in the media, there's biases. There's a jungle out there that we have to be able to navigate, and we have to realize that there are opposing viewpoints. And one of the databases that we have from Gale is called Opposing Viewpoints. And there's no better way to teach it except for exploring it either through paper production, like at the high school. One of the greatest things that our school district's school board has ever done is required a research paper for every year at high school. That ensures that they do get this, they do get instruction on databases. They do get instruction on bias. They do get instruction on what media sources are valid and what are not. And that's going to be the only way that we can do this. My role here more at the middle school is I'm really focused on not only with students, but also with teachers, helping them develop or making them aware of opportunities that maybe was never available to them when they were in school. So video production, audio production, access and submission to a professional organization of student work. That's exciting to me. And I think it's exciting for the school, and I think it's exciting for the students and their families.
Leah, just in the short amount of time that we have remaining, a lot of school districts, particularly in rural areas, are struggling with finances, and library resources are sometimes on the chopping block. How critical are librarians and the libraries in making sure that this media literacy component is successful?
They're absolutely critical. And I always say, if you have a library, but you don't have a librarian, you just have a room full of books. You don't have anybody there to teach the critical, as Michael said, the critical thinking, the analysis, the understanding of not all information is good information. And librarians are trained to wade through that with students. So I think they are absolutely critical to this mission.
Certainly. Leah Gregory is with the Illinois Heartland Library System. Michael Heyman is a librarian at Collinsville Middle School. It's a complicated issue, and I'm sure we'll be checking back as the year goes on. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.